I'm going to talk. I just don't want to talk unless I have to. We'll do that every now and then. That, my friends, is what a Doppelbock's supposed to look like. It is clear. I like mine a little murky, but rich mahogany, bit of brown, khaki, just north of khaki colored, smoked Doppelbocks, Fox Farm, son. My boy Corey, thank you. Knows. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's Schlenkerler, but it's definitely somebody's like, I'm gonna make my Americanized version of Schlenkerler because it is that fatty baloney Roush or stuff. Stuff and things is what it's called. That's the technical term. Those Cicerones and BJCP people use that stuff and things. Baloney. Baloney had a first name. It's Rauch. Has anybody ever used that in Roush beer? I think I just got on to something. I'm a marketing wizard. Pay me, everybody. Yeah. No, in all seriousness, with the quiet intro, I was going to be quiet the whole time and just nod and stuff, and I realized I was being a mime, and I wanted to kick my own ass. It has that smoky baloney thing that the Schlenkerler does so well. A lot of people, their smoke tends to come off a little bit sharper, a little bit more kind of like kielbasa, kind of cured meaty. This is a little bit more kind of baloney, softer, fattier kind of meatiness. There is a big caramel pop to this. When you're talking about the classic Schlenkerler, I think of Märzen or in that line. They do a Doppelbock, but I usually think of the other ones. This is a Doppelbock, so it makes more sense. Then it has that kind of caramel pop, that little breadiness, a little caramel with that little bit of bologna smoke. Cheers. Man, I have the Märzen from Schlenkerler in my fridge. It's taking every bit of my willpower not to open it right now, to do it side by side. I don't want to do that. I should do it, but I don't want to. I want to save that for just sitting by myself and drinking. It really has a lot of DNA in comparison with the Schlenkerler. It's somewhere between the Märzen and Doppelbock for me. That's where this one kind of lies. See, the Schlenkerler Doppelbock comes off a little bit denser, a little bit richer, a little bit thicker than this one. Now, this is sultry and silky and creamy and sweet, so it has all the attributes of the Doppelbock, but it's not as dense and heavy as the Schlenkerler one. Whereas the smoke level on this just reminds me a little bit more of the classic. I don't know. It's kind of poopy to sit here and kind of like constantly reference another brewery or another beer in somebody's review, but I think, if the fine people at Fox Farm are watching this, they would be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy, for one. Number two, they would be like, okay, if we're going to get any kind of good pub praise, whatever you want to call it, to be compared to such things, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's epically well made. There's no kind of tinniness. There's no metallic astringency. I can get that sometimes on bigger kind of Doppelbocky beers. The way that sweetness comes off, it's just like a sweet brown bready, burnt caramel, burnt brown sugar, charred, I should say, not burnt, caramelized brown sugar, caramel. This super rich, super soft, super creamy Doppelbock kind of mouthfeel with this kind of up and down kind of smokiness. It's a little bit kind of soft and puffy, then it's sharp, more bologna-like, and there's a lot of different kind of depth in levels to the way the kind of smoke comes off in this. And when you combine it with that mouthfeel, for some reason, the mouthfeel in a beer always rides and kind of dictates how the smokiness of Roush beer is usually going to come off for me. it just, if it's a denser, richer beer, the smoke tends to come off a little bit more pillowy and rich. Whereas on a tighter, smaller, cleaner kind of Rausch beers, there's a little bit more sharpness to the way it comes off. Maybe that's just the way I perceive things. But this is fantastic. On all accounts. You put this up against... I don't want to crack it. I'm not going to do it. I just want to turn it over. It's right there. The bottle's right there. All I got to do is grab it. But I don't want to do it. On a cord here. I can do whatever I want. I just don't want to. Anyway, man, this review sucks. But it just ends up coming off as just a really neat one. I think what I was going to say previous to me going on that little tirade was I think if you just kind of poured this for somebody who is a regular overseas, you brought it overseas, you sat down, you drank it in, Bamberg, and you gave it to a bunch of people that are huge into smoke beers, Rausch beer, Slankler and the like, all the breweries that do that stuff over there. I think if you poured this in the midst of all the other breweries, I think they would think it's kind of from over there. Sure, they might be, that's a little bit more sweet. Maybe that tips their hat to a little bit more American, but it's a Doppelbock. It's supposed to be sweet. It's one of those things where it's like, I think it's, and I say this a lot when it comes to the Belgian quad game. There's a lot of Americanized breweries that try to do Belgian quads while they make tasty beers. They taste like an Americanized version of a Belgian quad. Then there's some American breweries that do Belgian quads that taste like a Belgian quad. Just not exactly like some of the other Belgian quads you've had over there. But they're more in tune, more in common with what comes from over there. That's where this kind of lies for me. It has this kind of richness, has this smokiness, has a little bit of pizzazz to it that you think leans a little bit of American or Americanized version of a smoked Doppelbock, but it is kind of, over there through and through. So, for the beer, mouthfeel is something that you're just going to harken back to throughout the whole experience. Silky, creamy, smooth. You're met up front with a nice sweetness, nice creaminess, a nice maltiness, and a pop of softer kind of smokiness. That sweetness builds. You get a little bit more richness, a little bit more density, and it just kind of apex and crescendos into this kind of bologna-esque kind of rich, bready, caramelized, kind of brown sugar kind of breadiness, and just starts to wash away while that sweetness kind of lingers a little bit, that smoke kind of lingers, and everything kind of tapers off on its own accord. It's got a really nice, full, rich mouthfeel, the mouthfeel I come to expect and beloved when it comes to Doppelbocks. 7% alcohol in here. It's not a big beer, so it's pulling it off with not a relatively high ABV. It just comes off as one of the best, if not one of the better, or reverse that, one of the better, if not one of the best examples of a smoke beer, especially from American breweries, but more specifically, one of the best smoked Doppelbocks I've ever had. Mount Rushmore status, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. A little lemon in this might not hurt. Who knows? But yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for sending this off, Corey. And yeah, what can I tell you? I want you guys to tell me about this beer. Have you had this from Fox Farm? What do you think of Rausch beer? What do you think of smoked beers in general? Are they your jam? Are they not your jam? And, what do you think of Fox Farm as a whole? I think they're probably one of, if not, again, one of the best breweries in the United States. So for them to make something like this is not out of character for them. And, yeah, let me know. Let me think. Because I think this is tasty. I think you might agree. There you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, down there, let's talk about it. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. I'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.